Hi there, Jerry. Hope your travels are going well. This is your video lesson for today. I kind of build off of what we talked about last time with playing over top of a dominant seven blues and the different options that you have. And I'll just go from the top and work my way down. If you have questions or want me to look at anything, shoot me a video and be more than happy to take a look. So first thing is, what notes are even in G7, right? We need to know that first if we're going to start kind of doing a little more intermediate stuff with this, with the blues soloing. So the G7 chord is that one, you have the two options, the drop twos that we did, or sorry, the guide tunes that we did. That chord right there, the first chord that's in Stormy Monday. You can play it there. You can also play it up here too. You can also do your bar chord version of it as well right there. And any number of the, actually nothing about, you actually know a lot of G7s if you sit down and work through all the different voicings that we've ever worked on. And don't forget you. There you go. Cool. Well, anyway, so you got yourself a G7. Basically what you do is you just write out from G to G all natural notes. We're going to talk about that because I think it's probably about time for us to start going down that rabbit hole. Just for right now, write out just G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And I've done that here on the handout portion of things. Look right here. Basically what it is write out the musical alphabet, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then put a G there if you're going to get completed. I think it's necessary to do that part. But anyway, so you do that, and then what you do is you skip every other letter from that beginning of the musical alphabet. So you have your G here. I circled it, right, because that's a chord tone. Chord tone is a note that's found in the chord. Scales contain chord tones inside, which is like this is a scale, and inside of the scale are chord tones, the ones that we're kind of aiming for, or the ones that make up the chord. Say, for example, for the G7 is this, right? Those are all chord tones. We put each one of them together, and you play it together, get yourself a chord, right? So I've written out my G to G scale right here, and you have G, hop over A, and then you circle B, you hop over C, because we're jumping every other one. You hit D, and you hop over that, the E, and you end up to F, right here at the end. So if you were to say, hey, spell me a G7 chord, I would say it is G, B, D, and F. Those are the notes that make up a G7 chord, right? And when you play this, when you play your G7 chord, that's what you're playing right there, right? And what you're trying to do is you're trying to target those notes. That way when you're soloing, you're not just running up and down a pentatonic scale blindly. You're trying to actually aim for stuff. And if you do it right, when the chord changes, you'll aim for those chord tones as you're moving through a progression. And then all of a sudden your solo starts sounding more structured and more melodic. That's how you have those melodic players. Some of them just kind of like have an ear for it, I suppose. They've done it for so long, they know like what notes sound good when they play a lick and they land on that and go, oh, that's what it is. Some are schooled, and like me, who have studied it and go, oh, I'm aiming for the third or the fifth or things like that. At any rate though, what you can do is you can take, say for example, this G chord right here, right? And you know, all these notes are going to be found, all these chord tones are going to be found in the ones that we circled over there. So what you can do is you can take a top part of a G chord, right, like this right here, right? So you take string 4, 3, because that's like that's the way what I'm doing here. I'm breaking this up, right? I'm hitting there string 4, 3, 2, 1, right? I got this G bar chord shape right here. What I'm doing is I'm just taking away the bar and just like playing it as like a single line. So I would do like G. There we go. I'm literally just taking this chord shape and I am breaking it apart. Like I'm not adding anything else to it. I'm just playing it as a single line. And that's the same as if I went like this. Except for I don't want it to sound like an arpeggio. I don't want it to sound like that. I want it to sound, right? That way when I'm playing my G minor pentatonic, oh sorry, let me make it minor pentatonic this time. Right, I stopped on that note right there because it is part of the G chord. And I stopped right there because it's part of the chord and it sounds good. So, okay. I stopped there because that's the G. You can slide into it. That's part of the, right? That's part of the chord. And cool. So you want to be targeting notes when you're soloing like this. So then let's hop down to number 2. Is what notes are in a G minor pentatonic? And I've written it out for us. You can do that, obviously. You can just take your G minor pentatonic and just G, B flat, D, C, D, F, and then back to G again. So you know enough to do that with your magic triangle. And then, so I've written out that right there. And if you notice right here, the notes of a G7 chord, you're like, well, wait a minute. How can I play, this question comes up all the time. Wait a minute, how can I play a B flat, right? Because that's the note right here, or right here, or right here. How can I play that over top of a G7 chord? It's not even in the chord. Well, that's an idiom or a trope of blues music. It has that blue note in there, that dissonance in there. And that's what makes the blues sound like the blues and not like Mozart, right? So if you want to sound like Mozart, you do the other thing we're going to talk about in a minute. Not Mozart, but like if you want to use, not having those like weird notes that are outside the chord, you use the second thing we're doing. But anyway, so going back to your G7, I put in the looper right here. Right, so there I have a G7 chord, just kind of turn it up a bit. So what I'll do is I'll play my G minor pentatonic. I'll use box 1, Old Faithful. And then on a chord tone, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to outline the chord shapes. Right, where if I do this. Right, so what I did there was I took that B flat and I took the B flat here, right, and I bent it up to up a half step from B flat to B, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bend this blue note, this color tone right here, trying to bend it up to the note that's inside the G7 chord. So I'm kind of creating dissonance here, kind of a clash basically, and I'm making that bend into a consonance, a more pleasant sounding tone. So I can take my line here, and landed on a chord tone, landed on the G, right? First chord tone you should aim for is the root note. And you listen for the chord that you're playing against, and you'll hear like this wobble, and the wobble will go away. So if you listen here, it blends right nice into the chord. Right? So that's the first thing that you can do with that G7 is bend that B flat from the G minor pentatonic up into the G7. Now I highly suggest you put a G7 in the looper, or you can find like G7 vamps on YouTube, but just make sure it's just first one chord right away, because you want to play around with it for a little bit. The nice thing about Story Monday is that it's moving a little bit slower, so you have time when we stick them together. You'll have time to think about what you want to do. And the faster songs get, the less time you have to think between, okay, what am I going to do with this chord and that chord? By the time you think, the song is over. That's why you practice them individually. That way, when the moment comes, you just go right into what you've already practiced. All right, number 3 is the G major pentatonic. What you want to do for the G major pentatonic is, if you notice right here, all G major pentatonic is just E minor pentatonic starting on a G. There's like literally no other difference. Thank you, this also dramatic, so crazy. There's no difference in terms of notes between G major pentatonic and E minor pentatonic. Right? It's literally, you're just starting on a G. So when I play E minor pentatonic, right, I'm going to do box 1 just because it's easiest right here. If I end on that G right there, is G major pentatonic, right? So G major pentatonic and E minor pentatonic are the same thing, except for you're starting on an E you're starting on a G rather than an E. So when I'm playing over top of that G7 chord, and I can play that E minor pentatonic, all those notes fit inside, right? And what you want to do, I've taken this, I'll be right down in a second. And what I did was I took this G major pentatonic scale. See how this is an A in here? I'm trying to bend that up to the color tone in B flat in G minor pentatonic. So if I play from here, D, E, D, E, G, and an A, I'm going to bend the A up a half step to B flat to make it more bluesy sounding. Right? And the other option you have is the second one. You're going to bend that E right here. You're going to bend this E up a half step to the F that's in the G7 to accentuate that note. So I play the scale here. So G, A, B, D, E. So it's more bluesy, right? Right. Land on a chord tone, right? So start working on that for me, and then we'll do more with that next time. There's a more intermediate way of playing over top of blues changes. Cool. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them over to me. If you want to let me look at anything, I'd be more than happy to. And I'll see you same time next time. Take care.